Hi everybody, my name is Rupa, working as Assistant Professor in Chevrolet Engineering College in the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. I am dealing the subject Renewable Energy Sources, and today's topic is solar pond and solar still and thermal extractions. This is the principle of operation and description of non-convective convective solar pond. Actually, a solar pond is a mass of shallow water of about 1 to 2 meters depth only. So, with a large collection area, it acts as a heat trap. 1 to 2 meters means it is a low area. If you have a capacity of large collection of area, it acts as a heat traps. So it contains the solar pond contains some dissolved salts to generate a stable density gradient. Okay, so this dissolved salt will be in types of layers. Some part of incident solar radiation will be entering the pond surface and it is absorbed throughout the depth, and remaining will be penetrating through the pond and it is going to the downwards absorbers black bottom plates. So if the pond is firstly filled with fresh water, the lower areas will be heat up, and when the lower layers are heat up, they expand and they rise to the surfaces. So because of this rising and again going down, this is convective mixing, and due to this convective mixing there is a disadvantage of heat loss at the surface. So due to this convective mixing also, we cannot attain high temperatures in the pond. Only small temperatures can be attainable. So very small temperatures of 6 to 10 degrees, 20 degrees, below 20 degrees we can attain. So this convective mixing, and on the other hand this convection can be eliminated by initially creating a sufficiently strong salt concentration gradient. So if you can make the pool a strong salt gradient, we can discontinue this disadvantage. So in this case, when we add the salt, thermal expansion in the hotter layers is insufficient to destabilize the pond suppressor. Okay, so the heat will be the denser water, the warmer water which gets warmed in the bottom cannot rise up. So the heat is lost only from the lower layers, and the process is by conduction only. We can avoid the convection losses here. Only conduction losses are there, but these are non-accountable. So because of this low conductivity, water in the insulator has high temperatures. These high temperatures can be over 90 degrees Celsius. These are developed in the bottom layers. So at the bottom of the pond, a thick durable plastic liner is layered. Okay, so this thick plastic layer is it is materials made with butyl rubber, black polythene and hypalon reinforced with nylon mesh. These are the materials used for liner at the bottom of the pond. So this is a thick liner, not a thin liner. This is a thick liner. And salts used are magnesium chloride, sodium chloride or sodium nitrate. These are dissolved in water and the concentration is varying about 20 to 30% at the bottom, and almost it is zero at the top. So at the bottom there will be a fresh water, and on the top, when we reaches the top, there will be a on the bottom there will be a salt water with percentage of 20 to 30, and when we reach tops we are getting fresh water. Okay, so in the salt gradient solar ponds, dissolved salt is used to create a layer of water with different densities. So if you use more salt, the more the denser will be the water. The concentration of the salt at the surface is low, usually less than 5% by weight. And so water, if the concentration of the water is low, then it is relatively light in weight. So the salt concentration steadily increases when we go below the depths, until at the bottom it is very high, and at the bottom we can expect around 20%. So by these salt densities we can divide these solar ponds in 3 regions. Depending upon the salt percentage, salt gradients we are using, this solar pond is divided into 3 regions. The first one is surface convective zone or upper convective zone. So on the upper convective zone we are having fresh water. So on the top we are having fresh water, and the depth of this surface convective zone or upper convective zone is around 0.3 to 0.5 meters, and the salinity, the percentage of salt present in this is less than 5%. And second zone is non-convective zone, and it is from depth 1.5 meters, and as we go on to the bottom we said that salinity will be increasing. And the third stage is the storage zone or lower convective zone. So here we store heat. That's why it is called as storage zone. Or lower convective zone means it is having last convective zone. It is the last convective zone. So but the depth is 1.5 to 2 meters. So if you observe the three zones here, so lower convective zone up until last we have only 2 meters. So we can build a solar pond with 2 meters depth. Okay, maximum we can go to up to 2 meters depth only. Here the salinity percentage will be equal to 20% approx. Okay, so if we want to do any physical considerations about this solar pond, we choose the second zone, non-convective zone, which is at the depth of 1 to 1.5 meters. So this is better for our physical examinations. Okay, so at the bottom there is a storage zone. It is typically 1 or 2 meters depth, but it can be as little as a half meter or as much as several meters deep. Okay, the surface convective zone usually have a small thicknesses. So they are having small thicknesses around 10 to 20 centimeters. In a low or uniform concentration, it is close to zero. As well as fairly uniform temperature, it is close to the ambient air temperature. This second layer, which is non-convective zone, it is much thicker. So when compared to other, it is much thicker and it occupies more than half the depth of the pond. Okay, so in half the pond is the non-convective zone and remaining half, 1/4 is the upper zone and 1/4 again 1/4 is storage zone. So both concentration and temperature will be increasing with depth in it. As we go on to the depth, concentration and temperature increases. So it serves mainly as an insulating layer and it reduces heat loss in the upward direction. This is all about the non-convective zone I am talking. Okay, both concentration and temperature will increase with depth and it serves as an insulating layer and it reduces the heat loss in the upward direction. So this zone acts as a thermal storage as some of the heat collection also takes place in this zone. The lower convective zone or storage zone is comparable in thickness to the non-convective zone. Okay, both the concentration and temperatures are nearly constant in the third zone. I am talking about third zone, storage zone. So the concentration and temperatures are constant in this zone. They remain a constant values. It serves as a main heat collection and also it serves as a thermal storage medium. The deeper the zone, the more heat is stored. And the lower zone traps heats for a long periods, damping the effects of daily and even seasonally changes also. Okay, so this capacity for low cost storage is one of the chief advantages of salt gradient solar ponds, because in this we can trap the energy during daytime or during the night time. So irrespective of the solar radiations, we can use the heat in this solar ponds. So even during long periods of cloudy cover or even ice cover, the stored energy will be still available at what time you want. So as salty water near the bottom heats up, it expands. However, it cannot rise because it is denser than the less salty water above. So though they are heating up, they cannot rise up due to the salt we are using in the bottom. So thus a solar pond is defined as a non-conductive and the warmer water stays trapped below only. But though we do this, some heat is lost by convection to the surface, but this process is much weaker than the convection process. So lower waters may even warm up to and above the boiling point of the pure water also. The highest temperature we attained up to now is 108 degrees Celsius, and it is attained in summer, in the season of summer, at the year 1980 at University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. Okay, so at this place at University of New Mexico, we are attaining the researchers have gone through 108 degrees temperature, Celsius temperature in the solar ponds. So depending upon the location, water clarity and temperature, the solar pond can capture about 10 to 20% of the solar energy hitting its surface, and remaining 90 to 80% will be wasted. Though it is wasted, it is the cheapest method of storing the heat here. So hence 1 square meter of pond can supply 1/2 of 2 gigajoules of thermal energy per year, and the average temperature maintained per year is 40 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius. So this look as the same flat plate collector. A flat plate collector of the same area will be twice as efficient but cost 10 times as much. Okay, so same, if you want to keep the temperature of 40 to 80 degrees Celsius with other method, suppose we are taking a flat plate collector method, it costs 10 times as the solar pond. The main quality of this solar pond will be depending upon the salt we are using. Okay, so the salt gradient gives the efficiency of the solar pond. So this is the most important factor. This is the most important salt. This is most important work to do. So this important particular salt particle used in the solar pond should have some characteristics. So for creating a density gradient, this salt should have some characteristics. We will see those characteristics. First one is it must have a high value of solubility. Okay, high value of solubility means it has to be diluted or dissolved into the water quicker. Okay, quicker, and no more remaining should be there after the dissolution of salt. So if this is high value, this is high value of solubility is there, it allows high solution densities. Okay, and this solubility should not vary with temperatures. If the temperature of the water is more, the solubility should not be reduced. It should be constant over all the temperatures. Its solution must be adequately transparent to solar radiations. Okay, so once the salt dissolves in the water, and this solution should look as a pure water. Okay, the looking should not change with impurities. So it should be fresh. It should little be equal to the looking of the fresh water. So it should be transparent without impurities to the solar radiation. If it is containing any impurities, the impurities absorb the solar radiations and they does not allow the water to heat. Okay, and it must be environmentally benign, safe to handle the groundwater. Okay, that's all dissolved in this. If it goes out or if it is used to some utilizations, it should be environment friendly, and though large quantities of living beings are using this, it should be safe. Okay, fifth one, it must be available in abundance near site so that its total delivery cost is low. Okay, where we are working, it should be nearer. The pond should be, we should create a pond, we should design a pond to our near working places only, so that the cost will be reduced. Okay, delivering cost means the transportation cost will be reduced and it must be inexpensive. So the cost for designing the solar pond will also be should also be little cost. And the stability of non-convective layer in the presence of temperature gradient, it can be maintained by creating a sufficiently steep salt and concentration gradients. In order to generate the initial salt concentration gradient required, we have to prevent convection. So this is usually practiced to fill the pond with several layers of salt solution with successive layers changing stepwise in concentration from near saturation at the bottom to fresh water at the top. This will be considered the important activity while building the solar ponds. So for a typical pond of 1 meter depth, one might use 6 or 8 to layers. If you take 1 meter depth of solar pond, the difference of the layers, the difference should be taken in 6 to 8 layers. Less layers can be floated successively on top of the existing ones, or successively more dense layers can be put at the pond bottom, flowing in as undercurrents and gradually lifting the whole ponds. So because of this turbulent mixing and molecular diffusion which occur during fillings, at the time of fillings there will be some turbulent mixings and molecular diffusions. So the staircase type concentration profile evolves into smooth, nearly uniform concentration gradient. Okay, so we have to carefully fill in a staircase type in order to put the waters mix thoroughly. We should not allow the waters to mix thoroughly. Okay, so typical values of salt concentration at the top will be 20 kgs per cubic meter, and this 20 will be increasing to 30 to 260 kgs per cubic meter for magnesium chloride and sodium chloride at the bottoms. Okay, so it is a value of magnesium chloride. It have a salt concentration at the top of 20 kgs per cubic meter, 300 kgs per cubic meter, and for sodium chloride it is 260 kgs per cubic meter. But it is necessary to add periodically concentrated solutions at the bottom. Okay, as we orient the tufts in the concentrating collectors to the sun's rays, but this is not such frequently adding salts. So but we should periodically add salts at the bottom of the solar ponds, and we have to wash the surface with fresh water to maintain the concentration gradient in the presence of diffusion effects. This is the explanation about the extraction of thermal energy. So with the use of solar ponds we can get the thermal electricity. So this is the process is called the extraction of thermal energy. Actually energy is stored in low grade thermal form of lower convective zones. In the lower convective zones actually energy will be, all we know, stored in the low grade thermal form. Okay, so the energy due to the solar radiations in the convective zone is called as in thermal form. So convection in the zone is due to the process of heat extraction accomplished by hot brine withdrawal and cool brine returns. So these hot brine withdrawals and cool brine returns I will explain in next figures. But it is not practical to cover the bottom of the pond with pipes because these pipes acts as a heat exchanger due to two reasons. So it is not supposed to cover the bottom of the pond with pipes. First one is the cost will increase sharply in the case of large ponds of the size of about 1 square kilometers. Okay, so if you take a pond of 1 square kilometers, if you want to install the pipes at the bottom, the cost will be more. And second one is, unless there is convection around the pipes, heat transfer from the stationary hot brine to the fluid in the pipelines will be very poor. Okay, so unless there is a convection around the pipes, so convection should be provided around the pipes. Unless this is provided, heat transfer from the stationary constant hot brine to the fluid in the pipes will be very low. They will not get any heated fluid. So extraction of this thermal energy stored in the lower layers of the pond is easily accomplished with some adjustment. That is, we have to do this adjustment without disturbing the non-convective salt gradient zone above. Okay, so the non-conductive zone should not be disturbed, and it should, but we have to do the work, and we have to extract the thermal energy for our production of electricity. So hot water can be extracted from the solar pond without disturbing the concentration gradient. This can be achieved by installing the water outlet at the same height as the water inlet. So whatever the height level of water outlet, we have to be the water, we have to accomplish a water outlet same height as the water inlet. If you see this figure, we can know about this solar pond, how we are using this solar pond for our electricity production purpose. So see, this is the hot brine. This is the hot brine. This is the cold brine. Both should be at equal levels, almost equal levels. So this hot brine can be withdrawn and cool brine returned to the laminar flow pattern because of the presence of density gradient here. Because of the presence of density gradient, we do not disturb this salt density gradient, and we have to extract the heat from the solar pond by hot brines. So for small or model ponds, heat exchangers are there. These consist of pipes which are placed in the hot low layers, but they are not only initially installation cost, they increases the installation cost, but continued pumping losses associated with the heat transfer fluid continuously. These types of tubes will be increasing the heat losses, and moreover they increase the cost. So thermal energy from solar pond is used to drive a Rankine cycle heat engine. This is a Rankine. This cycle is called as Rankine cycle heat engine. Okay. So here, if you see, this is a solar pond. It is having some solar radiations, and heat is trapped at the bottom, and that trapped heat is extracted out through the hot brine. So if you see this is the generator, and this is the turbine shafted to the generator. So if the turbine moves automatically, the generator works and it produces electricity. Okay, this is the evaporator or boiler. This is a cooling tower, pump, condenser. So I will explain the Rankine cycle now. See, this is a solar pond. The hot water from the bottom level of the pond is pumped to the evaporator here. The hot water is sent to the boiler here. So these boilers vaporize the fluid. What is the hot water you are taking? They turns into vapors. So these vapors will be going under high pressures. These vapors are made to be in high pressures, and these high pressures are made to fall on the turbine. So they expand the turbine and they rotate the turbine. So whenever the rotation of the turbine blade starts, as this is coupled to the generators, the generator starts moving and they will deliver electricity. So here this is first cycle. This is first cycle where we get the electrical output outside, and after the turbine gives the movement to the coupling, this coupling gives movement to the generator. After that there is other cycle going on here. So what is this means? The vapor, the remaining vapor after moving the turbine with vapor, the remaining vapor will be traveling to the condenser. Okay, the remaining vapor will be traveling to the condenser. So here in condenser, see, we are getting cool water. We are getting cool water to the condenser. So where cold water from the cooling tower condenses the vapor back to the liquid here. So the cool water pumping out from the cooling tower, they makes the vapors entering into the condenser as a fluid. Okay, so this water again are pumped back to the evaporator, and cycle is repeated here. Okay, this cool water again enters the solar pond from the evaporator boil. This cool water, some water enters the solar coal brine, from coal brine this enters into the solar pond, and remaining they forms into vapor, and again they move the turbine, we get the electricity. This is the cyclic process. So a 2000 square meter solar point equipped with 20 kilowatts engine has been constructed in Australia using this Rankine cycle. Next topic is solar distillation. So actually fresh water, all we are having a necessity of fresh water to sustain of life, and it is also a key to the man's prosperity. It decides the man's prosperity also. So if you generally observe in some arid or some semi-arid and coastal areas, arid means where the land or climate is having low rainfalls, low water content. Okay, these are termed as arid. So if you observe in arid or semi-arid or coastal areas, but these are also having thinly populated, not that much populated. And these are thinly populated, and these thinly populated people are also scattered. They are distributed. They are not staying at one place. Okay, so we observe that one or more or one or two family members are always busy in bringing the fresh water from a long distances for the drinking purpose. Okay, so in these areas we see now nowadays also we see some persons carrying water with pots from a long distances. So if you use this solar distillation will be a boon to them. So by the knowledge of this solar distillation, we can make the salty water as a fresh water to use for drinking. So in these areas we can use the solar radiation because it is plenty. The solar radiation is plenty everywhere. So in these areas also, depending due to these disadvantages, due to these adverse effects what are facing by the villages, we can use the solar energy for converting the saline water into distilled water. Okay, so the pure water can be obtained by distillation in the simplest solar still. It is generally known as basin type solar still. So actually this solar still is seen in the figure. See, using the distillation process of water that are heated by the solar energy, we can make them as a pure water. Okay, so if you see the diagram, this is the solar still water still shown in the diagram. So this is the impure water and this is the insulation here, and this insulation, above to the insulation we are seeing a blackened surface. Here the impure water are getting vaporized due to the solar radiations heat, and this water vaporized are pure waters. The water which is forming to the vapors, and if it is again the vapors are made into the liquid form, we can get pure water. So these are the condensed water drops. The water vapors will be forming water drops here. These water drops are collected by our filters. Okay, and this is a transparent cover on the solar water still. So in order to, the solar radiations will be like this, falling onto the impure water, and this impure water will be changing into vapors, and these water vapors are collected by our filters to make them as pure water. So cost is very low. If you see a purifier in our homes, the cost will be very high, but this is a low cost method, and we can obtain quantity of water we can obtain is also more here. So such solar stills have been operated for farms, okay, agriculture purpose and community use. Several people in the community uses those for various for various uses. So we are seeing the solar stills in several countries. Actually, it consists of a black surface here. This is the black surface basin containing saline water at the shallow depth. Some shallow depths we are having saline water. Okay, so these saline water are unfit for the drinking purpose. So over which there is a transparent airtight cover. Here this is the airtight cover which encloses completely the space above the basin. This entirely covers the space above the basin. It is in the form of roof-like shape. House roof. Okay, it is in the form of roof-like shape. So the cover is usually made up of glass. So it can be made up of plastic, and it is sloped actually. It is sloped towards the collection trough. So this solar radiation which is passing through the cover, and it is absorbed and converted into heat in the black surface. So solar radiations will be passing through like this onto the roof like substance, plastic substance, and they are passing onto the water, and these are collected by the black surface, absorber surface here. So impure water in the basin or tray here, these are the impure water. The impure water in the basin or tray, these are heated, and these vapors, these are heated and form into vapors. These vapors will be produced, is condensed here, cooled here to purified water on the cooler instead of the roof. So they are cooled here. Cooler is not shown. These are cooled. These vapors are cooled in the cooler interior of the roof. So the transparent roof material, mainly the transparent roof material is made up of glass. This transmits nearly all the radiation falling on it and absorbs very little. Hence it remains cool enough to condense the water vapor. So we may have a doubt that the solar radiations will be passing through the roof itself, and after passing through the roof only they are entering the absorber surface. So we may have the doubt that this roof will also be